Report out of the world with a Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. Long hair don't care. Yeah, I know my shit wild, my kitchen all messy, but you know I'm gonna get that shit done very soon, very soon. At least take it out, you know what I mean? Get the back looking presentable, but I still gotta get y'all that real. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you check out blackfoxnews.com/shop to support. We got a whole array of items that you can actually purchase that'll be supportive of the channel, and that they actually match with everything that you got going on and raise the consciousness level of those around you by being a voice for the people. Now, we could also check out the homepage, blackfoxnews.com, and actually give a donation to the channel through our Cash App, the company Cash App link, or go to blackfoxnews.com/opportunities to actually do some business with us, get some advertising, and tap into our unique, very highly intellectualized audience throughout multiple social media platforms. So definitely keep supporting us as we continue to support y'all. Record numbers for the United States yesterday dealing with COVID-19. Over 3,600 deaths due to the disease, the highest for any nation for any one day, including the U.S., which is already leading which is already the epicenter for the COVID-19 right now in the world. You have nearly 250,000 infections yesterday throughout the country alone. Then you have California for the 18th consecutive day, creating a record number of hospitalizations. Right now, 52,000 new infections of COVID-19 yesterday. We have actually 400 people who actually are deceased in California alone from COVID-19. I've been telling y'all how the ICU units throughout the state have actually been swelling up, and Cali's a big state. It's big enough to be its own country. Nevertheless, you have to keep in mind that you have ICU intensive care units making very harsh decisions right now, and having to force people to actually get out of ICU after only being there for a short amount of time. I mean, they're canceling surgeries, and they're even training nurses to actually work the ICU unit, people outside of intensive care. They're trying to bring more staff into it. Governor Gavin Newsom actually signed a waiver allowing hospitals to force their nurses to treat 3 ICU patients at a time, which goes past the number of 2 patients that can be treated at a time due to state law. So it's right now the envelope is being pushed, and we'll see if this turns into flattening the curve or lowering numbers. Greenwall and graduation. Please report out of the world though. The Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. Long hair don't care. Yo, pardon being messy. You feel me? I just gotta get a message out to y'all right now. According to internal documents of the World Health Organization obtained by the news outlet Reuters, it looks like their plan to actually get COVID-19 vaccines to the 91 poorest and most middle-income countries throughout the world actually faces a very high risk of failure, apparently, which could leave billions of people out of access to the COVID-19 vaccine until 2024. Now, based on these documents, the continents most at risk are like basically Africa, Asia, and throughout Latin America. Interesting about Africa, though, you actually have places that honestly are not reporting high numbers. You know what I'm saying? It's black people over there saying pretty. At the same time, they not the test rates aren't that high either. But I'm not sure that people in Africa are worried about it like that. But we'll see how this begins to unfold, and if that will force anybody to make any changes. Because I also don't believe in panicking 7.5 billion people into thinking they absolutely have to have a vaccine so that we could beat COVID-19. Because me personally, I'm not seeing it. The risk of like taking a vaccine that, let's be real, has been rushed to a market for a disease that we don't fully understand to treat symptoms that we don't even have. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, if you don't, and I've put out a BFN editor's note about this, but if you don't have any COVID-19 symptoms, stay away from that vaccine, because we still trying to figure out what the fuck is in COVID-19, let alone what's in the COVID-19 vaccine. It makes sense. So I can say it logically on the news part of Black Fox News presentation, though. Green War and graduation. Report out of the world, though. The Bishop Grady let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in. You know, I know my hair's scruff, McGruff right now. Long hair don't kill, short hair depending on looking at it, but I still gotta get y'all that information. It's vital, and again, we don't got time to wait on me, you know, getting my hair did and all of that shit. But check this out, though. We have an advisory panel meeting for the Food and Drug Administration that's actually meeting to vote today on whether they are going to grant emergency use authorization for the Moderna vaccine. Now, mind you, the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine is already out to the healthcare workers throughout the United States. They're already administering shots, but with the Moderna vaccine, they're trying to be in the same palette. If they are granted this access, then you got 3 million doses of Moderna vaccines that's on deck, ready to be shipped throughout the United States. Now, the Pfizer vaccine, apparently the company is actually given permission to healthcare workers throughout the U.S. Who are administering the vaccine to actually squeeze out more doses, since these packages of vaccines actually have more vaccine in them than previously thought, and essentially could increase the dosage by 40%. I find that very interesting, very weird. It would seem like these measurements are imprecise. I wonder if it has to do anything to do with these videos of these fake vaccine inoculations that's out here on the internet, as far as, like, you know, these fake syringes that they're giving people sitting there allowing themselves to be inoculated in front on camera, but it looks like they're not even they're dealing with a fake syringe. I don't know. We gotta look more into that. I wonder if that has something to do, because 40% is a lot. You mean you overshot by 40%? What are y'all measuring, and how can we trust y'all? Like, do you have 40% more of one chemical in the vaccine than you were initially supposed to have, than your formulas allowed you to have? Like, that's really sus, to be frank. You have Mike Pence and Second Lady Karen Pence. They're actually setting up to take the vaccine this Friday. Mind you, Mike Pence has been around people who had contracted COVID-19, like been in close quarters with them. I mean, you can say that about all the White House Republicans. Joe Biden, president-elect, he's actually saying he's going to take the vaccine very soon. And you have the White House saying that Trump is not going to take the vaccine until he's instructed to by his own medical doctor. So we'll see how that happens. This motherfucker actually had COVID-19. If it wasn't for all of that, them 100 bands that he spent on getting himself back to normal that weekend, he might not be here. Green War and graduation. Report out of the world, though. The Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So, according to Politico, former Trump-appointed science advisor Paul Alexander was actually urging the Department of Health and Human Services to allow for the usage of herd immunity in dealing with COVID-19. Now, herd immunity, or basically allowing everybody to get infected with the disease naturally, and herd immunity being something that describes like a bunch of people getting infected, so therefore now they have like developed a resistance towards being harmed, but towards contracting or even being harmed by a said virus. Now, according to the World Health Organization, you know, many scientists have actually discredited that as an approach to deal with COVID-19. With the World Health Organization basically officially saying, like, you know, never in history has that even been used to treat a disease on purpose. And to do so would be highly unethical and could lead to the deaths of millions of people. But that didn't stop Mr. Alexander from sending this letter to the Department of Health and Human Services, basically saying that, you know, infants, kids, teens, young people, young adults, middle age with no symptoms, etc., all have zero to little risk of contracting COVID-19. You know, let them be infected. You know, we want to push for them, for the herd immunity. Let them be infected. And that doesn't seem to deviate from the Republican strategy toward dealing with COVID-19 anyway. I mean, while you have now Chris Christie post being caught with that Rona, now coming out saying like he was wrong for not wearing masks and all of that, whatever. But a lot of people don't feel that way. A lot of people was right back at them Trump rallies, even though people was getting infected. Rest in peace to Herman Cain. Even though motherfuckers is out here catching that shit, they was still right back at these next Trump rallies or at this next Republican grand old party event. Out there not socially distancing and with no mask. So, you know, maybe they still are trying to push for the herd immunity. Stay woke, y'all. Green War on Graduation. This reporter of the New World, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So, the Secretary for the Interior Department of the United States, David Bernhardt, has actually contracted COVID-19. This is the third top official in the government that actually has contracted COVID-19. Congress member for South Carolina, Joe Wilson, has contracted COVID-19. He's tested positive, and he announced it hours after speaking on that floor for the House of Representatives. So, you know, he might have been out there just, you know, talking his ass off and spreading that shit. But nevertheless, you also have Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State. He is actually going into quarantine after somebody close to him has actually contracted COVID-19. He also canceled the last holiday party. Mind you, him and his wife, they've hosted State Department parties that have actually invited hundreds of people there, going against the CDC guidelines. And then you had Chris Christie, former governor of New Jersey and, you know, Trump advisor, who was actually put out a video on Twitter yesterday basically saying, you know, that he was wrong. You know, he reflected while he was in ICU in isolation for 7 days. You know, he reflected on how wrong he was to you know, take off his mask at that super spreader event at the White House where he likely contracted COVID-19. He was also saying that he reflects on how wrong it is to divide the country over mask wearing when we know that the chances of you're twice as likely to get COVID-19 if you don't wear a mask. I'm not sure where he got those numbers from, but that is what he said, and he's on the Republican side. Kind of goes against their whole this faux pas or this ipso facto herd immunity strategy that they've been doing. You know what I mean? Green War on Graduation though. For the other New World, though, the Bishop Grady let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So over in Europe and France specifically, they're actually seeing a spike in their numbers days after relaxing a nationwide lockdown for COVID-19. Now, even the French president, Emmanuel Macron, is actually tested positive for COVID-19. Definitely a big deal. And he's met with prime ministers of Spain and Portugal in recent days, as well as the European Council in Brussels, and met with other French officials, obviously. So all of these people are now on guard, feeling like they might have to self-quarantine or get tested for COVID-19 and lock themselves down. We'll see how all that turns out. Green War on Graduation. Reporter of the New World, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So over in Brazil, they set their own new daily record for COVID-19 infections with topping 70,000 on Wednesday. This actually brings their total count to over 7 million. Very interesting number, since, you know, over here in the U.S. we headed to 16 million. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, they also have a death toll that's at 184,000. This is the second highest death toll to COVID-19 in the world, only behind the U.S. You know, where we're past a 250,000. But that's where it's at in Brazil, though. Green War on Graduation. Reporter of the New World, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So after months of a deadlock on a COVID-19 stimulus package by the chambers of Congress, they've actually, it looks like lawmakers are coming to an agreement on a $900 billion COVID-19 economic stimulus package. This will apparently include $300 in additional unemployment benefits weekly. This will also include a one-time payment of like $600 to $700 for each U.S. citizen. Now, mind you, keep in mind, remember that $1,200 we got, so we're talking about half of that now in this package. Also, what's not included in this package are the $160 billion in state and local aid that was to be provided. And the reason that's kind of like the compromise for the bill, not including the exclusive corporate liability protections that Republicans were trying to get in there to protect corporations from COVID-19. Then workers getting infected with COVID-19, and then the company itself being liable for that. Now, do you have this is coming as poverty is on the rise in the U.S. with close to 8 million people being pushed into poverty since the summertime. That's the largest jump in poverty throughout the history of the U.S. government even recording data on poverty, which they've only been doing the last 60 years. So we're in some very different times. Green War and Graduation. Report out of the world, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. There was a report put out by Oxfam that actually says that it issues a warning to people all over the world, because basically saying that poverty will increase sharply in almost every country for the first time in decades if immediate action isn't taking place. So right now, 2.7 billion people, mind you, the population is over 7.5 billion for the entire planet Earth. But 2.7 billion people so far have not received any financial assistance due to the pandemic, COVID-19. Now, keep in mind, on a worldwide scale, right now, infections are over 74 million, and deaths have actually topped 1.6 million, all due to that Rona, that SARS-CoV-2, coronavirus disease 2019, that Rona. Make sure you check out BFN World Broadcast number 17. We've been breaking it down in raps and songs since the beginning, and it gives you all of the knowledge that y'all gonna need, and shows a link to you getting actual current real-time COVID-19 data for any place in the world. Green War and Graduation. Out in the world, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So the United Nations is warning that a swarm of locusts are actually threatening food security throughout the Horn of Africa and throughout Yemen. If you can think about that place on the map, you'll see why they are, why that would be the case. They're geographically, they're very close to each other, and then where you have with this food insecurity, that comes from locusts being a problem. That's why there's been an international effort to counter the appearance of locusts. But despite that effort, they still been popping up. It's been especially exacerbated by few climate change conditions. There was Cyclone Gotti that actually popped up in recent times. So and the new swarm of locusts is even being a contributor to that. So we'll see how this all turns out. Hopefully the people over there need to eat, because Yemen, as it is already going through a humanitarian crisis and mass food insecurity. Green War and Graduation. Streets reporter of the New World, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So General Mark Milley, the chair for the Joint Chiefs of Staffs in the White House, this is actually the organization that represents the interests of the military, of them being a separate entity from the White House government and all of that. Mark Milley actually met with Taliban negotiators, apparently unannounced, for a meeting in Qatar this week. Separately, he's also met with the president of Afghanistan, Ashraf Ghani, and discussing peace negotiations. Now, keep in mind, in Afghanistan, you have the government going at it with the Taliban. It's caused a lot of violence, a ton of violence, and that's what they're trying to curb. Meanwhile, trying to get the U.S. to actually draw down their troops that are in the area. But in them drawing down, violence is still, the motherfuckers are still going at it. We'll see where these peace deals go, because they've been failing in the last couple years. Green War and Graduation. Reporter of the New World, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So over in France, you actually have 14 people that were found guilty of aiding in these attacks that happened over the course of 3 days in January 2015 around Paris. Included in those attacks were the firing, the letting off of rounds at the Charlie Hebdo headquarters. Charlie Hebdo being the satirical newspaper that around that time had recently put out a front page picture of a caricature of the Prophet Muhammad. You're not even supposed to really even show any images of Prophet Muhammad. It's looked as highly disrespectful to people who practice Islam. And I guess to these motherfuckers that's about it, they willing to shoot over that shit. Or it could have been staged, who knows? But this is what is on record, whatever, where two French Algerian brothers had actually opened fire on the satirical headquarters, killing 14 people. Then in the upcoming days, you had a gunman that had actually killed a police officer, and then firing that was let off on this kosher supermarket that ended up gunning down 4 Jewish people. So this was actually looked at as obviously like hate crimes and awful, but now you have them actually being charged with terrorism and those type of charges. I mean, all of the 3 main suspects were actually killed, and the rest of them actually got charges anywhere from like 4 years to even longer than that. So we'll see how this turns out. Green, war, and graduation. This report out of the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So over in Hungary, you have Prime Minister Viktor Orban actually initiating a rule that basically effectively bans the ability for same-sex couples to adopt children. Also, keep in mind that the lawmakers on Tuesday had actually passed a bill that effectively prevents the LGBTQ community from being married, because it legally defines marriage as a union between a man and a woman. So definitely not a sign of a separation between church and state, but nevertheless, that's what they got going on, and it's certainly looked at as an attack against the LGBTQ and all the other letters and numbers that follow community. Green, war, and graduation. Although the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So you have nearly 400 religious leaders as a part of an organization known as Global Interfaith Commission on LGBT plus lives, and they're calling for a global ban on conversion therapy. Conversion therapy is something that's actually used to change the sexual preference of someone through counseling and other means of intervention. So if you have if you have a son that's gay, you'll take them to get conversion therapy because you don't want them to be gay, and the conversion therapy will make them safe. They're calling for a global ban on this, and the organization even released a statement basically saying that we know that religious text has actually been misused to attribute to the mistreatment of lesbians and gays and people from the LGBT plus community. So that must end. And I think I'm sure there have been like real life converts from the conversion therapy, but the premise of it is mostly flawed, which is that pretty much everybody who is of LG, like everybody who is gay or lesbian, is that by like a choice, you know what I'm saying, or by being misguided or something like that, and that a conversion therapy would even do anything. But I mean, there are cases, I'm sure, of that being the case. I mean, for a fact, there are people who are that by choice, or been coerced to live to have that sexual preference by lifestyle. But then you have a lot of people that argue, well, so are some of y'all heterosexuals out here, you know what I mean? Green, war, and graduation, though. Report out of the New World, though, the Bishop Grady let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So hundreds of professors have actually signed on to this open letter sent to the University of Mississippi for them firing historian and anti-racist scholar Garrett Felber. Now, and they fired him after he had actually made remarks about the university's donors being racist. See, what happened was, back in October, the university refused to allow Felber to receive a grant for his prison education program known as Study and Struggle. In response to that, he basically spoke out against that move and said that this anti-racist program threatens this university's racist donors, and he was then fired. So it's looked at as like retaliatory, and the whole move to even block the grant is being looked at as such. And Garrett Felber is a whole white man out here, you know what I'm saying? Like, so definitely somebody that seems like you could consider an ally. He actually has a new book out called Those Who Know Don't Say, the Nation of Islam, the Black Freedom Movement, and the Carceral State. Carceral being the jail state, basically. So that's what's going down. A Green, war, and graduation. Report of the New World, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Man, Major League Baseball actually did what I consider some stand-up shit. Like, I can't really find no flaw in doing this, but MLB now considers the Negro Leagues as a major league. That means there are over 3,400 black players who will have their stats counted towards counted and added to the Major League Baseball stats. So this is huge. I mean, MLB has already had some of its greatest stars come from the Negro Leagues. Jackie Robinson, Willie Mays, we talking Josh Gibson, Ernie Banks, Roy Campanella. Like, you got people that have stats in the Negro Leagues and then went on to the major leagues and then became like superstars based on their stats, like a Willie Mays or something like that. So they're gonna get padded up, ain't they? Like they gonna get bumped up the totem pole as far as like greatest of all time stats and all of that or whatever. This should be interesting how that part plays out. I'm sure a lot of racist white motherfuckers are gonna be upset about it, but nevertheless, the deed has been done. I mean, granted, back in 1947 is when the MLB started allowing black players to even play in the Major League Baseball. But before that, you know, it was straight Negro Leagues. And mind you, they're celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. So, you know, shout out to them. And shout out to MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred, who actually said that, you know, the Negro Leagues has actually produced our game's best players in innovations as well as triumphs against a backdrop of injustice. So we are now grateful to count the Negro League players where they belong. Like, and I thought that was deep. That sounded just real, like, empathetic. It sounded, but it also sounded strong. It sounded like no bitch assness either. So, you know what I mean? Shout out to the Major League Baseball for doing that. It took them some decades, but, you know, shout out to them. Green War on Graduation. Report of the New World Order. Bishop Grady let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. Make sure you check out blackfilesnews.com/shop, get you some paraphernalia, but also check out .com/LPAI. LPAI being an acronym for Let's Post About It, LPAI. This is actually our own social media platform. It's our forums. You can actually go in there and create your own forums where you can have discourse that you can't have on these other social media platforms. You can share code, you can share files, and actually when you do share your YouTube videos, they could play within the conversation. It doesn't have to take you to a whole nother page. And then, you know, the building that you can actually do in that regard can be endless, and we can actually get to some real truths out here. And then instead of having your stuff censored just because, you know, you kicking that real that they not ready for the people to know about. Well, that all can happen at blackfilesnews.com/LPAI. Make sure you create a profile for it, and incentives for creating that profile, as well as like tutoring discounts and discounts on our new lines that are to come will be on the way. Now check this out. Meat packing plant producer Tyson Foods, they actually have fired the managers at this Iowa pork plant due to allegations that came up from a lawsuit filed against the company by a family whose family member had contracted COVID-19 at that plant and died. Now, they allege that the managers who got fired actually had a cash buy-in, winner-take-all betting pool on how many people at the packing plant would actually become infected with COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2, that Rona, you know what I mean? And keep in mind that it ended up back in April, there was the outbreak actually ended with over 1,000 people infected with 6 deceased. Green War on Graduation. Report of the New World Order. Bishop Grady let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So, climate activists are actually on the ball when it comes to holding Biden, the president-elect, accountable for what's going on with this country environmental-wise. Over 380 groups of climate activists have actually signed on to this, essentially a draft of an executive order, and sent it to Joe Biden. And it basically outlines some immediate climate actions to be taken. They want Biden to actually declare a national climate emergency. They want him to ban all new fossil fuel infrastructure projects, and they want him to charge the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, with enacting the Clean Air Act. Mind you, this EPA under Trump, they've been saying they don't give a fuck about the Clean Water Act, so you know they don't give a fuck about the air. But nevertheless, it also includes many other actions. We'll see if this turns into anything though, but they actually put it on paper So you can't say you ain't had time to write that shit. Green Wall Graduation. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Up there in Minnesota, there's still resistance coming from the indigenous community against Enbridge's Line 3 pipeline that's supposed to like bring tar sands through the area. Now, people have actually been out there protesting. On Monday, the protest actually led to the arrest of 22 people, 22 protesters, after the protesters essentially like were blocking the construction of the pipeline and refused to leave. So you have Winona LaDuke, who's actually Ojibwe environmental leader and the director of Honor the Earth. She actually spoke with our main source, Democracy Now!, and she was basically saying how, like, you know, on Tuesday, she's like, yeah, yesterday 22 people were arrested. The oldest 65, the youngest 22. All of them except one, I believe, was a woman. I mean, was all of them are women except, I believe, one. So, but let's be clear, like, we're not criminals. We're patriots trying to protect our land from a Canadian multinational organization. And, you know, she's just shooting it straight. You know what I mean? Like, what else the fuck you think is going on? Some might argue that this is hurting the U.S. economy, but you're reaching. Like MJ at the end of Space Jam when the Monstars jumped on his back. You dig? You know what I mean? Keep shit in perspective, y'all. Green Wall Graduation.